unforgettable moment that thrilled the hearts of all who watched on a quiet night at a South Korean military base. An unusual event managed to turn the harsh and disciplined atmosphere into a sea of silence loaded with emotions. Hundreds of soldiers who were usually accustomed to the sound of the commanders shouting, shoe stamping, and loud instructions, suddenly fell silent. The cause was not an official order, nor was it a punishment or warning, but rather the gentle and emotional voice of a soldier who happens to be one of Korea's big stars. Chaeunwoo. The moment comes when Eun-woo, who is currently serving in the army, is asked to perform at an internal event held by his military unit. No one expected that the evening would be an emotional turning point, not only for him, but also for the hundreds of soldiers present. With one song that she sings soulfully, Eun-woo manages to silence hundreds of pairs of lips and make them dissolve into an atmosphere of emotion that is difficult to describe in words. The day actually went on as usual. The soldiers underwent physical training, marching, and simulated combat. But that night, the unit had a simple internal event, a rare moment of respite amid the rigors of a military training schedule. Usually, events like this are filled with light games, question and answer sessions between members, or small appearances from soldiers who have hidden talents. However, Chaeunwoo's presence makes the atmosphere a little different. Everyone already knows who he is. An idol, an actor, as well as a popular face that they used to see on the screen now stood between them as comrades in arms, both wearing green uniforms with tired but firm faces. Initially, many soldiers thought Eun-woo might refuse to perform, because not all celebrities are comfortable to show their side of the stage in a military environment full of rules. But when his name was called to come forward, the whole room was suddenly filled with small cheers, applause, and curiosity. With no fancy stage, no spectacular lighting, and no grand musical accompaniment, Eun-woo just stands in front of a simple microphone. His neat military uniform contrasts with the glamorous image that is usually attached to him, but it is precisely the simplicity that makes the atmosphere even stronger. Some of the soldiers sitting in the front row even had time to whisper, "Is he really going to sing?" The curiosity deepened when Eun-woo took a deep breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and then began with a low, gentle tone. The first sound alone was enough to make the room change. All the small talk stopped, the light laughter disappeared, and even the sound of the fan in the corner of the room sounded so clear. The soldiers, who usually find it difficult to remain silent except when the commander gives instructions, are now completely silenced by the sound. The song sung by Eun-woo is not a military song, nor a pop song that he usually performs on stage with ASTRO. He chose a classic Korean ballad song loaded with meaning about longing, struggle, and sacrifice. The song is often considered a symbol of the eternity of love and determination, a theme very close to the lives of the soldiers. With a clear voice full of appreciation and genuine emotion, Eun-woo seems to convey a personal message to everyone who listens. The few soldiers who had initially only looked at him with flat expressions began to look down, as if trying to hide their emotions. There are even those who unconsciously tightly clasp their knees or cover their face with their hands. For those who have not seen their family for a long time, the song is reminiscent of the faces of their parents, spouses, or children at home. For those who are struggling through a difficult period of training, the song feels like a soothing embrace. As a rule, in internal events, there are always sounds of laughter, whispers, or spontaneous comments. But this time it was different. From the beginning to the end of the song, not a single soldier dared to make a sound. All fell silent, drifting in the atmosphere Eun-woo had created. A witness who attended the event even mentioned, "It was the most sincere silence I have ever felt in the military." Not because of fear of the commander, but because everyone was completely carried away by the atmosphere. When the last verse is sung and Eun-woo's voice slowly weakens, there are still a few seconds of silence. Everyone needs time to get back to reality. Only then did such loud, long, appreciative applause come. Many soldiers were unable to contain their emotions after that performance. Some were seen rubbing their eyes, although they tried to hide it. He turned his back on Eun-woo when he returned to his seat. One young soldier even said to his colleague, "I never thought a celebrity could make me feel this way in the military. She doesn't just sing, she conveys something that goes straight to the heart." For senior soldiers, the moment was a reminder that even in the harsh military life, there is room for tenderness and emotional expression. Eun-woo's presence is not only as a fellow soldier, but also as a reminder that humans still need a touch of taste in the midst of the rigors of barracks life. For Eun-woo herself, this moment could be one of the most rewarding experiences of her military service. He managed to bridge the entertainment world with a disciplined military life, proving that music can really break through any boundaries. For the soldiers present, the evening will always be remembered as the moment when hundreds of adult men, accustomed to the rigors of training, were made speechless by one song full of emotion. It would not be an exaggeration to say that this moment is a clear proof of the power of music to unify, calm and even silence without coercion. The story of Chaeunwoo silencing hundreds of soldiers with this one emotional song slowly spread. Although the event was internal, word-of-mouth stories began to be heard. Some soldiers recounted the experience to their families while communicating, and not a few wrote it down in their military diaries. For fans out there, this story adds to the long list of reasons why Eun-woo is so loved. Not only because of his handsome face or acting talent, but because of his sincerity and ability to touch the hearts of many people, even in the most unexpected situations. After the emotional song was over, the atmosphere of the barracks still felt different. Usually after the end of the entertainment event, the soldiers would joke, tease each other, or even comment on the appearance of their colleagues. But this time it was as if there was an emotional layer covering the air. The soldiers were still sitting quietly, some looking down, some staring blankly as if still contemplating what they had just experienced. The unit commander present at the event did not even immediately take charge of the atmosphere. He allowed a few minutes of silence, as if honoring the feelings that were rolling in the hearts of his soldiers. "That rarely happens," one soldier said later. "Usually after the entertainment is over, everything is rowdy again. But that night was different. Everyone seems to be at a loss for words." That night, after the event is over and the soldiers return to the barracks, the talk about Eun-woo's performance is still the main topic. However, the talk was not in the form of exaggerated cheers or empty praise, more in the form of a quiet conversation, as if they did not want to spoil the deep impression that still remains. "I remember my mother," said a young soldier lying on his bed. "I haven't heard a soothing female voice in a long time. The song somehow brought me home." His friend in the next bed nodded slowly. "Me too," as if his voice was not just a song, but a prayer entrusted to all of us. Several other soldiers wrote down their experiences in personal notebooks. Some described the moment as the most memorable night of their time in the military. Some also wrote that Eun-woo's voice seemed to erase the fatigue that had accumulated for days. Surprisingly, the next day the training atmosphere was a little different. Although the physical training remained rigorous, the marching was strict, and the instructions strict, there was a new sense of community among the soldiers. A senior soldier confessed that many of his colleagues who were usually quick to complain, suddenly looked more excited. "I think the song really ignited something inside them,"